Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, and thank you for having me here in Riyadh at this very timely event. And I say timely because the theme of this conference, Into New Worlds, is no longer a pipe dream. In fact, we stand on the brink of one right now. So let me tell you what I mean. The company I lead, Nokia, goes back a long time, over 155 years. We started as a single pulp mill for the paper trade. Then we moved into rubber and cables, then electronics, and since the 1990s we focused on telecoms, including the famous handsets, of course, before more recently focusing on the network infrastructure itself. The thing about telecoms infrastructure is that you spend a lot of time upgrading hardware and software and sweating existing assets. When your industry revolves around incremental improvements, what do you do when confronted with a completely blank canvas? What a challenge that would be, but also what an opportunity. My message to you today is connectivity in 2023 is all about blank canvases. In the metaverse, in smart cities, and on the moon. So let's start there, on the moon. NASA runs a program called Tipping Point. And Tipping Point encourages collaboration with industry to develop technology for future space missions. Since 2015, the project has awarded over $500 million to 50 different projects. Current work streams include power grids on the lunar surface, autonomous manufacturing in space, and now later a project with Nokia to bring networking to the surface of the moon. Later this year, a NASA mission will land on a ridge near the Shackleton crater at the lunar South Pole. And the rim of Shackleton crater is almost constantly in sunlight. But the crater floor is in perpetual shadow, with some estimates putting the temperature at approximately minus 183 degrees Celsius. The freezing temperature makes it very inhospitable, but it also means that if water ice exists anywhere on the moon, it's right there. And if there is water, suddenly things get really interesting, because water means longer moon missions and even the possibility of a sustainable human presence on the lunar surface. So the mission will put several assets on the moon, including a landing module and a rover. Nokia's network will allow these two assets to talk to each other for up to 12 days. In that time, the connection will allow mission operators to pilot the rover remotely while streaming real-time video and critical information back to mission control on Earth. Once it's complete, the mission will show that cellular technologies can meet the critical communications needs for future space exploration. None of this will be easy. The Shackleton crater is at the South Pole, and the low angle of the sun will have a big impact of the operation of the mission. At this latitude, even small boulders can produce very long shadows, casting the rover into shade. If that happens too long, the rover could get so cold that it breaks down. On top of that, the rover also needs to avoid areas without coverage, such as behind a hill or inside a crater. To account for these factors, Nokia is doing extensive simulations to evaluate the landing site and plan the rover's routes so it stays in the sunlight and maintains connectivity. And that's just the beginning. Nokia engineers are working with NASA to make sure our electronics can withstand cosmic radiation, lunar dust, and the effects of extreme G-forces, especially during the rocket launch. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. With so many uncertainties, it's nice to know one thing for sure. The first network on the moon is a vital step towards the future of space exploration and even human life on planet Earth. And it will also improve our understanding of how networks can operate in harsh environments anywhere. So that's the moon. But what about another blank canvas in a way closer to home? So close, in fact, that in a few years we'll be able to interact with it right in front of us. And I'm, of course, talking about the metaverse. The Financial Times reported recently that metaverse has become the hottest concept ever in the history of exchange-traded funds, with 35 metaverse-backed funds launched globally since June 2021. That means there is a lot of money swirling around. Money means hype, and hype means misunderstanding. So I want to do a little bit of myth busting here. First, we in this room need to understand that before too long, there won't be just one metaverse, there will be three: consumer, enterprise, and industrial. Consumer will take care of socializing, gaming, and certain commercial services. But for me, the even greater excitement comes from the other two, because the enterprise and industrial metaverses will be where game-changing value is created. Let me give you an example. Think of a massive piece of critical infrastructure, like a refinery or a nuclear power plant or a bridge. The enterprise and industrial metaverses will unlock faster and more efficient ways to deliver those projects. And then, once they are delivered, those same metaverses will make it easier to operate, maintain, and improve them. You start by creating a digital twin, a fully virtualized representation of the asset you are going to build. You add all the necessary data points about materials, usage models, and similar existing projects to plot the life cycle of the project, from optimum maintenance cycles to contingencies based on once-in-a-lifetime natural disasters that occur from time to time. The enterprise metaverse allows you to bring together different stakeholders to collaborate and co-design the virtual asset wherever they are in the world. Then, large sections of the asset would be prefabricated off-site in factories using AI-powered autonomous systems operating within the industrial metaverse. The industrial metaverse would also enable construction crews to work faster and more safely through remote-controlled robots, enhanced reality headsets, and exoskeletons. And don't forget, you'll still got your digital twin. With more advances in robotics and drone technology, eventually you won't have to put humans at risk for even the trickiest maintenance. You'll be able to do it all remotely. Every action in the digital world will have an effect in the physical world, and vice versa. The really cool thing is that while some of the building block technologies of the three metaverses are still on their way, others are here already now, like digital twins. Here is a digital twin of a power network showing the real-time fire risk to power lines from vegetation, which is one of the main reasons for wildfires. The Australian company Fugro have created a prototype for TAS networks in Tasmania, Australia. Here's another example, an experimental nuclear reactor. The US Department of Energy's Argonne National Laboratory are using a digital twin as part of the research and development of a next-generation nuclear reactor. These examples from the beta version of the industrial metaverse show that it's already very real and very effective. And because of that, it's possible to start building metaverse native assets already today. So let's take a step back for a second and look at the two types of networking I have mentioned so far. On the moon, we are connecting physical spaces that were previously thought to be unconnectable. And in the metaverses, we are connecting the physical and the digital with huge implications for productivity and collaboration. Bring those together and you have a recipe for what a modern smart city might look like, in which public services, public safety, startups, multinationals, and communities, all the way down to household level, benefit from all three metaverses. And if there is one country on earth where that's relevant, it is Saudi Arabia. The kingdom has multiple giga projects underway, from new cities to energy installations. I'm glad that Nokia is playing a role in many of them, either directly or indirectly through our work with local partners. And we have seen that one of the things those giga projects have in common is a reliance on top quality connectivity to unlock the scale, efficiency and reliability that you need from critical infrastructure. For example, a few months ago, NEOM's CEO, Nadmi Al-Nasser, said that artificial intelligence would be the beating heart of the entire project. This is a model that other CEOs and leaders can follow, even without the sweeping canvas that NEOM is blessed with. Let me paint a picture of what a smart city, a sentient city, looks like in the metaverse area. You are on your way to King Salman International Airport before your keynote speech at LEAP 2030. The plane has seamless connectivity, of course, so during the flight you checked up on the stock market using your connected contact lenses. At the airport, a three-dimensional traffic command platform tells you whether to take the metro, the underground, or a driverless taxi to a hotel. You choose a driverless taxi. It's rush hour, but the city's digital twin has already recognized that there is more traffic than normal around the airport, so it directs the taxi down a clearer route. In this case, it's a motorway that's normally two-way, but the digital twin has switched all lanes to flow in one direction, solving the jams before they even happen. On the way to the hotel, you have a quick catch-up with your colleagues back in Helsinki who are working on that smart bridge project we saw earlier. The distance is not a problem at all because your enhanced reality lens takes you right into the same shared design space, so with a simple swipe of your hand, you find yourself next to the team leader, viewing the visuals in 3D. You check into your hotel and call your family to check in on them and tell them you have arrived. Your grandchildren tell you they just spent the day in ancient Greece getting a math lesson from Pythagoras via their school's immersive learning technology. You meet some of other organizations you are cooperating with, and one is the nearby souk, where the CTO's team have created virtual overlays for the fruit and vegetable merchants. So all you need to do is glance at one of the stalls and straight away you know what's in season, where the produce is from, and what you might make for dinner that evening. On the train, you talk to your local team about their logistics operation. They are designing highly adaptive distribution networks, warehouses, and sorting centers. And new hires to fill additional roles will be onboarded and trained quickly through virtual tours and simulated environments. Next, it is a local telco. You browse their digital twin of the country's telecoms infrastructure, discuss where to position new equipment to ensure maximum connectivity, and identify areas where upgrades or repositioning may be necessary. This telco twin is already being trialed, by the way, and Vodafone's lead architect said it was like Minecraft for data scientists. The number of use cases is simply huge, and we are only at the beginning of the journey. And remember, I have been painting a picture of just one city. Imagine the possibilities if these same technologies and services were rolled out to cities across the country, across continents, across the globe. There are metaverse applications for sustainability, healthcare, financial services, and for pretty much every commercial or public environment. And that leads us to one question: how do we get there? If we want to maximize the potential of the metaverse, we need to focus on collaborative advantage. We need to ask ourselves how we can bring the highest possible number of different players into this emerging metaverse ecosystem. Just like NASA does with space travel and the tipping point program I was talking about earlier. How do you leverage as much expertise as you can, as quickly as you can? We need collaboration to build the metaverse, to bring more solutions to market, and to create more value for all the players involved. That's why events like LEAP are so important. Early metaverse technologies are already here, but the potential for impact at scale is so much bigger. As 5G turns to 5G Advanced and 6G, as digital twins become more common, and as organizations everywhere learn the power of networking. Nokia stands ready to work with all of you to turn that potential into growth, jobs, and prosperity in Saudi Arabia and around the world. Thank you.